Here we are.
20,000 just sounds like a round number plucked out of thin air.
Yeah.
But 20,000 years ago was a very interesting time, right? So the Ice Age ended, as I say, 12, 13, 14,000 years ago. But it lasted a bloody long time. The Ice Age went on for over 100,000 years, which, you know, I don't like global warming, but the idea of an Ice Age, I don't like that at all.
Right.
And during that period, you know, even in an Ice Age, there are good days and there are bad days. There are good years and there are bad years. You know, it's not freezing. It's not equally freezing all day, every day. It waxes and wanes. 20,000 years ago is called the peak of the last glacial maximum. 20,000 years ago was the very worst period of the last Ice Age. And what that meant was you've got these ice sheets coming all the way down from the poles. So a lot of the globe is useless because it's covered in thick sheets of ice. But what I only learned recently is that, perhaps paradoxically, the Ice Age was also extremely dry because so much of the Earth's water was locked into these enormous ice sheets. The land that remained was frozen desert, so that most of the Earth's surface was completely uninhabitable 20,000 years ago. And what that means is that people and other species found themselves trapped together in small areas that were habitable. And so that probably or contributes to why dog domestication, wolf domestication really, would have started at that time, because the people and the wolves and the mammoths and the deer and the horses and you name it, all the species on the planet are trapped in these smaller areas that they cannot get out of, because in one direction there's a wall of ice and in another direction there's a frozen desert. You can't move in any direction. So they're forced into closer proximity to each other. And what that means is, I mean, I'm glad I didn't live then, right? I mean, I really don't like the sound of it at all, but hunting was really easy because you were surrounded by all these prey animals that couldn't get away from you. And you were in enforced proximity to wolves, and the potential then exists for a relationship to develop, which I'm convinced initially was because the wolves would scavenge on the human hunting kills. Because people, you know, you could catch a deer. I mean, I couldn't, but maybe you could. People catch deer, they catch animals, but they never eat all of them, right? I mean, there's always loads of it that's useless to a human being. And whenever you do that, whenever you have people settled in one place and they're hunting and they're gathering, well, they make piles of trash. They make mounds of trash. You know, archaeologists call them middens. And I used to live in Florida. There are quite substantial hills by the seashore in certain places. And these are just man-made, human-created mounds of primarily seashells are what you find down there. But, you know, we would have made piles of bones and gristle and hoofs and all the other stuff we don't like. And other animals would have come along and started chewing on it and gnawing on it. And many parts of the third world, that's still how life goes on. I mean, the rubbish dumps in India and Africa, they're full of wild animals gnawing on what people don't want. And some of those animals are scary and people don't like that, but not much you can do about it. So to this day, you know, there's studies in Scandinavia and in Alaska, wolves are scavenging on city trash dumps in those kinds of places. And over time, people become tolerant of their own local wolves. And over generations, the local wolves become tolerant of the people and become, you know, they're no longer going out hunting. So they become kind of maybe a bit punier. Maybe their jaws are less powerful. And maybe the people sort of over generations come to think it's maybe quite a good thing that you've got these kind of puny wolves that live on the trash that are not as dangerous as real wolves, and they will make a noise if any real wolves or bears or lions or tigers show up, and you know that's kind of handy, right? So so you got just the beginnings there of a relationship. It has to work for both partners, otherwise it's not a relationship.
a scary alarm call that just eats your scraps and doesn't threaten you.
It doesn't eat your children all that often.